This is All India Radio. Whispers of the Wind. All India Radio, in collaboration with Vigyan-Prasar, presents science serial Whispers of the Wind, based on understanding and managing climate change and global warming. Last episode number 52, Conclusion.
As we finally reach the last episode of your favorite science serial, Whispers of the Wind. With me in the studio, Dr. Nakul Parashar and Dr. B.K. Tyagi.
Hello.
Welcome to the studio
Thank
on
you.
this very special occasion as we, of course, reflect on what we did, what we achieved, what were the challenges, and what lies ahead. So my first question to you, Dr. Parashar, we'd like to begin with your reflections on this entire year, almost a year-long journey.
It is indeed a very poignant moment at this point in time where we all come to the end of this serial, Whispers of the Wind. The moment when I first came in and heard about this, I was excited. The name itself said all about what we were trying to talk about. And throughout the serial, throughout this journey, whenever I was here, whenever I interacted with a number of people, a number of experts, all that I could do was to add to my knowledge, add to my understanding of what people's perception is about the Whispers of the Wind. We had people writing to us from all walks and corners of the country. We had questions. Every question is a good question. And we learned a lot from them. And I guess our listeners also learned a lot from them.
Dr. Tyagi, not just Whispers of the Wind, but even in the earlier so many episodes that you did in association with All India Radio, you've been through the thick and thin on it. Your take on what made this particular serial, say, more special or rather different from the earlier ones?
See, when we say, because the umbrella term here is a science serial, which we call it, but this was the area where, no doubt, like we need to know some basics of science, but this was the area which was like concerned to all of us, irrespective of your age or even nationality, because we all are going to have the same effect as a human race. So this was the major concern, and knowing that nitty-gritty of that science to contribute, because we are talking about that the element of sustainability in all our developmental planning process. And if I have to contribute positively towards national building objective, I think I need to understand the science of this climate change and global warming, because the main concern about the sustainable development goal which we are talking about, which has been now like part and parcel of each planning process, developmental planning, and one way or the other way it is connected with the kind of the energy resources which we are utilizing.
Well, I think climate change and global warming, they do not recognize international borders. So it's more in the perspective of the ancient Indian wisdom of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Yes, correct.
We'll have to look more and more globally now to, isn't it, to address this issue.
Yes, and that's why like now this climate change and global warming, like all international institutional framework which has been developed over the year, where we have left behind our nationality and we have come on the platform as a denizen of this planet Earth, not as a national of a country ABC. So this itself is reflecting what you said, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Well, let's hope our listeners have benefited listening to all these episodes, the different issues addressed with such an important aspect of life. It's now time to move forward and look at newer horizons. There are other things also connected with life. Dr. Parashar, can we now spill the beans and tell our listeners what we are looking at?
Interesting when you said spill the beans. It's an open secret. We all understand and we have seen that the past few years have all spoken about how and what this brain can be maximized to. Everywhere, all over the place, we talk about what we say is something that we can understand, learn much deeper. So the word understanding and learning much deeper got its relevance into something which was numbers. And these numbers, when put together, came up with something called data science. And this data science and deep learning, when they came together, they started evolving and finding their applications in almost every walk of life. Whether it is you're driving a car, whether you're putting off your electricity, whether you're running, your health, everything. And this was something none else but artificial intelligence.
I just want to add one. It's a query. How the problem of this climate change and global warming, do the AI has a solution for it?
Not only for your predictions, not only for your weather forecasting, but you have a lot of involvement of artificial intelligence in your climate change, in all that we've just spoken, the whispers of the wind. You have to do a lot of analytics. It's a big, huge data that is available with you. You need not only supercomputers, now you have Cray XMPs are gone. Now you've got something which we call as quantum computing. So something that would take 2,000 hours to compute, it now gets done in 20 seconds, right? So this is a great leap, and this is only that has happened through the miraculous advent of what we call as artificial intelligence.
The magnitude.
The magnitude is humongous. But the parameters that we think are much beyond what we can ever envisage. The horizons are getting wider and wider. And there behind the horizons, you see a sun rising called the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's true. I think in coming time, that's why we are trying to keep the title The World of Tomorrow. In the sense where the AI is the
driving force.
The starting point for everything. That's true.
Correct.
That's
But
true,
just to take a break, in a lighter vein, I'm also reminded of literature. When I was a child, I read a story on the famous Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster.
Yes.
I mean, jokes apart.
AI for some people is indeed a Frankenstein. People who've just not recognized, have just not accepted coming out of the buttons on a mobile phone, find it very difficult to see the touch thing. And within the touch thing, you have two kinds of touch screens. One is a capacitive and other is a resistive. And where it slides so easily with the shaking hands, they need a hard button to press. So for them, artificial intelligence is no more than a Frankenstein.
Yes.
So coming back to this as a project concept, as a radio program, what is in the pipeline?
Right. These 52 episodes have been very meticulously carved out, sliced and diced with almost every aspect of life where AI touches. How the AI plays an important role in carving out a future for a particular application, how it benefits, and how it also, on the other hand, might become a pain in the neck as well. So looking at
safeguards, maybe.
Yeah, safeguards. So it's like pros and cons of everything that we think at the moment. What might happen in 10 years from now, what might happen in 20 years from now, and what might happen also when we are all wiped out. Right? So all of this, Dr. Tyagi and a bunch of subject experts have sat together, have thought over it. There's a lot of brainstorming that has gone into it. They've gone into where, what, how, when. Has all of this emerged? And how does it affect us is most important. And, since our viewers and listeners come from every part, and what he rightly said, the idea of, getting any episode and serial that Dr. Tyagi has always prepared is a holistic one. It doesn't cater to one part of the society. It tries to capture as much as possible. So the canvas on which he draws his entire 52 episodes is so very well thought of. Like in US we had let not one child be left behind. Similarly, he has an aspect, let not one denizen be left behind.
Okay. So, Dr. Tyagi, tell us a few points about the what, where and how, as Dr. Parashar said.
See, it was at two level, understanding the science of AI and how it has now acquired, such a great importance. Where we are talking about, there are certain apprehensions, like it will replace the human force. Now it will be taken over by the machine, and then there will be unemployment and all that. So we started with the whole thing, understanding the science of AI and how it has already penetrated into our life without knowing us. So that first we'll try to correlate that. Then the potential of AI means what kind of future we are looking for, where we will be taking the help of that. Beside that, what we are already doing it, like the weather prediction, the different model which we are using, these all are using that AI itself. But it was never looked upon like that the AI component of AI is there. So that first we'll take out that to correlate that we are already into that. And then the research in AI, which is Niti Aayog has come out with a discussion paper, and there are certain focused area where the application of AI and how it will be used. So, like agriculture, health, in the smart cities, and there are 4 sector which has been identified. And then the emerging ecosystem in R&D in India, like what are the different institutions which, as a single unit, contributing towards the nation achieving that goal of where those priority area has been identified. And then the world of AI and the literature, because we have added one component where we are doing like those stories which are known across the world in terms of Robert, or not Frankenstein, but smart Robert, and doing thing intelligently, and as a helping hand in terms of enhancing the human mental capacity. So those fictions which are already has been come out or written by different people, not from India but from other parts of the world also, that we will take 6 or 7 such stories, science fiction.
Okay.
AI and science. Basically,
Are you touching upon cartoon characters as well?
not cartoon character, but like Asimov has already talked about the AI, the robot, and we are actually the basics of fundamental of when we are talking about robotics, theoretically is set up in that novel itself, which all the fiction writer has been using, confining to that, starting their origin is that. So those kinds of things we are discussing, and the use of AI in industrial and social sector like health, education, agriculture, communication, transportation, etc. and AI and the futuristic society, because we are talking about smart cities. So in that case, how this AI will help us managing transportation, the daily supply of the things to the people. And the last segment we have kept on this AI and the apprehensions, which are, because as we did in climate change and global warming, there's a one sect of our scientific community saying it is a hoax, it's not a reality, but other one also giving the proof that it is a reality and it's already there. So last one will be on that.
But funnily, Dr. Parashar, we call it artificial intelligence. I mean, to a layperson like me, it is the best of human intelligence.
Ideally, what happens is, if you go back to many, many years ago, if you were to visit a doctor, the doctor would ask you what has happened to you, would ask you a lot of your symptoms, would get deeper into it, try to gather and understand what your family medical history is. And if you were to put all of them together, I'm talking about 30 years ago when I was studying expert systems, and that was a time when artificial intelligence was being taught as expert systems. So we had a set of questions that were built together, a set of rules were created together, and there was a repository that was put together. So that repository was set as a data bank, as a question, as library of all those FAQs that a person as a subject matter expert needed to solve a query. Over a period of time, these set of questions in a repository got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And as they became bigger and bigger, big data got into the picture. And as big data got into the picture, the learning also started getting deeper, which we now call as deep learning. Now, when deep learning and big data got together, the power of the machine that is there to help you became faster. So your analytics became easier. You were able to extract pieces of information that were required to make decisions easier, faster. They were now at your tips of your hand tips.
And it wasn't possible for a normal human mind to assimilate.
Absolutely. I tell you a small example. Way back, I had a problem of writing, say, summaries, an application of artificial intelligence in the legal system. So I was thrown upon close to 2 million cases from Supreme Court in my past lives, and I was asked to write summaries to it. Even if I got the Trinity from the heaven, if all three of them came, they also wouldn't have had completed it. The volume was humongous. The assignment that was there was humongous. And this legal cases are, each of these cases are different from each other, right? And whatever the judge wrote was very subjective as well. So I remember when I went and spoke to a professor of Caltech way back about 18 years ago, he said, Dr. Parashar, don't get so much overwhelmed when human nature, which is the most abstract thing, if that can be quantified, these are just plain simple cases. So all what we are trying to talk about is that from pattern recognition to having a block of repository of FAQs put together, as it emerged bigger and bigger, and as the computing power of the computers became much bigger, the ease of decision making and analytics became much faster. And this all culminated in making things to help you, to replace you, human intervention at different places. And also, benefits of artificial intelligence. When you do something, you do consistently. If you do it wrong, you do it consistently wrong. If you do it right, you do it consistently right. This is the benefit of artificial intelligence. And when you do consistently wrong, you know where to correct it, you correct it, and things become consistently right. Whereas in human beings, we have this fallacy, I would say, that we would have a fluctuating quality of what we produce. Today we might think this way, tomorrow our mood is different, we might do that. So these are benefits. These are beauties. The artificial intelligence brings in Christianity into your life, whereas the human behavior brings its amorphous nature.
So that means we can say like it's a way of removing the human subjectivity element in doing the work.
Absolutely. It brings in a lot of objectivity. It is all rule based.
Yeah.
It's all binary, either this way or that way. And whatever levels of ambiguity, all levels of subjectivity, they are just funneled down to as much as possible of objectivity. So the more you create if then else rules. If this happens, then this happens, else this happens. So when you do this in a bigger manner, the more you create. I remember in order to achieve 100% in a replacement of a lawyer to write a head note in a case, I applied artificial intelligence. After writing 66,000 statistical rules, my efficiency was only 49%.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine the magnitude of the effort that is being done. Now, for example, IBM Watson is a big system. You put in something and you get a lot of results. Google, all of them. So it means what Google is today is actually a culmination of data scientists, domain experts who've been sitting for ages together, writing so many rules to evolve to a system. And this is how the language called R, which is the basis of artificial intelligence, has come into place. Much more of this, I won't like to, just open up everything here. And I'll
No, but only again, actually, the way you are explaining it just again creating that curiosity in my mind, because the basic rules are framed by the human beings.
Correct.
Okay,
That's true.
So that means the developmental stage of AI will again dependent on the human intelligence.
Absolutely.
So that means this fear is unfounded that it will replace the human intelligence, artificial intelligence.
I thank you for your intervention for a particular reason. We'll listen to Dr. Parvat Mandal, Professor, National Brain Research Institute.
Some people are intelligent and compared to others is a relative terms. We would say that some people are thinking better or logically they are putting things together faster. So intelligence is actually how do you process the information and logically put it up. And sometimes it is not related to also degree. Some people may have a huge amount of degree, may not be intelligent enough. So it's some of our common sense how you are processing. My point is that how you are getting the correct information and you are processing and logically putting up. So this is the way I see the intelligence. The point is the artificially intelligence. So that means it is not the inherent intelligence, it is you are actually creating it. That's what the call is called artificially. It is actually somebody's creation from based on experience, based on observation, based on features. So that's what artificially intelligence come. Now the question is it artificial intelligence can be better than intelligent people? The question is yes or no. How it is put together and how it is moving around. It is getting all kind of information and then getting a machine, getting a composite system. If the person who is intelligent enough, he has to move with faster with speed now, because you have given entire information to the system and it is building up and that information coming all over the world. So a situation has come where a person is fighting with himself or herself and the person cannot now stop, it has to move further. So this is the situation has come. So artificial intelligence can beat the person if we slow down. So we have to move now. So that's what we have to do.
We listen to soundbite of Raj Malhotra, President ICRA.
When we talk about AI, data is the most important key factor. Machine has to analyze the data through different mechanism, through algorithm, then only it can take some kind of decisions. So earlier it was not in that shape. Today we have ample amount of data. We can say in gigabytes, zettabytes we have the data. So now multiple analysis can be done with the different algorithm. So if you know, like there are different terminology we are using, AI, then machine learning, then deep learning. So I'll just explain a bit more about this deep learning and the machine learning. Especially in machine learning, what happens? We capture the data and experts provide some kind of inputs and then machine takes some kind of decisions, right? So machine actually use the algorithm that creates algorithm in a multiple layers, neural networks, so that use that algorithm and then it makes machine to take the decisions. Artificial intelligence is a combination of deep learning and the machine learning. So in current scenario, when we talk about ecosystem, yes, it is being done, it is being utilized with multiple companies. As you say, like there are multiple companies like Google is there. When we search something in Google, we put some keywords. So now Google is smart enough to understand what exactly you are searching. So in future results also it will show you the same kind of your as per your interest area. Another example of Facebook. So whenever we tag some pics of our relatives, friends and all, so they understand your interest area and they can suggest you to add more friends. So it is all about machine learning. So these things are happening in this sector. Another best example of AI is Apple Siri. So if you use that Siri, it understands your requirement and takes some decisions and they search the data and give it to you. So things are being developed very fast now in this sector.
We as listeners will be exposed to another new, very important subject that is so close to our lives, in every sphere of our life, in fact, and that is artificial intelligence. We've reached the last phase of the last episode of this serial. We discussed what is about to come. Dr. Tyagi has also enumerated different core areas of that will be discussed in times to come. I want both of you to conclude with your own parting shots.
It's difficult because we've gotten so attached to getting those letters from our listeners all this while. Also, as I said in the beginning, there was so much of a knowledge enhancement. There was so much of new things that came to our mind. I remember an episode where Dr. Anand Sharma from the IMD was here. And we were all talking about, all of a sudden it's gotten so cold and why this is this and why this is that. He said, don't get worried about it. This is again something that has come from the western side of the country. And that's something that gave me this picture about what this is all about. And I was glad I was talking to my daughter day before yesterday. I was about to drop her at the station early morning at about 5 o'clock. And it was drizzling. And it was the very next day of Holi. Normally after Holi, we all think it's time to shun off all your woolens, get them to dry cleaners, get ready for the summers. But I remember both of us had forgotten to carry our jerseys and we thought it's everything hunky-dory, but we were all clattering, right?
And this has been a feature of every interactive program, which is an indication of the weather outside. The jackets that we are wearing.
That's true. Besides this, we also came to know a lot of good things about why there was a lot of understanding about global warming. It's just global warming. So is it a hype? Is it a myth? What it is so? This was a platform where I came to know and our listeners came to know reality about the global warming. And there were numerous letters that came to us. There was a gentleman from Haryana, Karnal, who was Dr. Tyagi's very favorite. He used to write to him very regularly. And his apprehensions, his concerns, his praises, I mean, it was bricks and bats, both that came to us. But anyway, it was a lovely and it was pleasure also being here at the AIR and also with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think I don't say it's a parting thought because we will be soon back. But my only thing is like many of our listeners has been realized this that they were able to understand the actual happening of global warming and that everything which now it became a fashion of attributing any such change towards climate change and as a result of global warming, that ability to distinguish between both the thing They have developed that capacity, and now one question came like the authorities say this water is the rain is so heavy, and it was because of this factor, and we cannot do anything because of climate change and global warming. Whether it was an administrative failure or whether it was a result of that. So to make that distinction, that capacity is now there. So now the authority cannot, avoid their duty by saying it was a result of climate change and all that. First thing. And second was the kind of the questions or the queries which we received was also enriching and learning experience for us, because we look at the thing in a very definitive perspective. May not be like relating it with the real life situation, but the question which were coming from our listener,
they were actually felt.
Yeah, so it was the learning from them for me, because looking at the whole thing in a very wider perspective and correlate with the real life situation, so which give me food for my thought to improve the scripting. I would like to thank my listeners for prompting me to think in that way. So these were the two things.
Especially congratulating and thanking our 4 winners: Ninad Mahajan from Jammu, Durgesh Naganpure from Madhya Pradesh, Rahul Raj and Rashmi Kumari. Rashmi, you have not mentioned your state nor your address. Has she sent in an email?
Yeah. This came through email only, and it was a simple email ID which she has mentioned.
But nevertheless, congratulations once again. On that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. It's been a pleasure always through all episodes of all programs that we do together. And a special note of thanks to our listeners also for sparing time to listen to us.
Right.
Hoping to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whispers of the Wind. You were listening to the last 52nd episode of this science serial produced by All India Radio in collaboration with Vigyan-Prasar. Conclusion. Participants expert were Dr. Nakul Parashar, Director Vigyan-Prasar, Dr. Birinder Kumar Tyagi, Senior Scientist and Coordinator of the Science Serial, and Manoj Pankar was the moderator of this program. We will be back again with a new science serial. Till then, goodbye.